10,000 years later, I became my own master. And he brought me 460,000 unique techniques. In a world where the highest level of martial arts is only 6. My techniques were all created by 11th level masters. They perfectly matched the 3 systems of body refining, breathing and spirituality. I only practiced for 1 day. I was able to surpass a great genius. In nearly 100 years. Even with such invincible abilities, I was still called a loser by my classmates. Even my teacher told me to work at a construction site after graduation. But I know very well, no one wanted me to move bricks at the construction site. Because you need 0.8 blood energy to move bricks. But my blood chi was only 0.7. In order to give me a good start in society, my father worked 5 odd jobs. Just to earn money to buy me pills to replenish my blood chi. As a result, I had to wear dozens of plasters every day. I feel very guilty about this. I have to break the 0.85 as soon as possible. I'll be able to graduate. Back in the room. I quickly adjust my breathing. The second set of National Broadcasting Gymnastics, The Rising Sun, begins. This is a physical art developed by today's strongest people. It provides a strong foundation for beginners. But after I've done the radio gymnastics 3 times in a row, my blood energy level is still strong. Thinking of my hardworking parents and my evil sister, unwillingly, I decided to train again. I forgot how many years I had practiced, until my consciousness began to fade. But when I woke up again, I found myself in a ruin. This is the 9th time I've entered this dream. Just as I was trying to pinch myself awake, a dead-skin zombie jumped at me. Luckily, I was able to react in time. I was able to avoid the fatal impact. Looking at this zombie's ferocious appearance, with a blood level of 0.7, I was completely enraged. In my dream world, it still dares to be aggressive. I kicked the zombie out. Then I picked up a brick next to the zombie and practiced the chaotic brick. Finally, after 981 hammers, the zombie completely stopped moving. But suddenly, there was an aura on the zombie's body. The next moment, countless black fogs entered my body. My head felt like it was about to split open. A strange image appeared in my mind. It was the zombie's memories from before it was born. The body refining technique of the escort guard breathing technique. Attack of the beasts. At the same time, it included a large number of combat techniques and scriptures. I was at a loss as to what to do. But then a green-eyed zombie appeared behind me, and my body moved on its own in an instant. When I came back to my senses, the zombie had already collapsed in front of me. Just like earlier, the black mist from the zombie entered my body again. But this time it didn't give me a headache. Instead, it caused the blood energy in my body to rise. This ability hit me hard inside. If I keep killing zombies, I would be invincible. Then I remembered that this was just a dream. If only it wasn't a dream. But vaguely I felt that it was all too real. I decided to go to base 1359. This is the place that the zombies often mention in their memories. Maybe I can find the truth of the dream there. But then the sky began to collapse. Like a pair of giant hands shaking this time and space. I woke up again. I was lying on the floor of my room. My sister was knocking loudly at the door. I didn't notice my soaked clothes. I opened the door. I went back to my workout. I slept for a while. My sister saw my body. Heart-shocked. Thinking when my brother became so strong. Then she turned around coldly. She told me to go out for dinner. This immediately made me feel all sorts of emotions. When I was a kid, he was still very close to me. But since the first blood test results, he treated me. He changed his attitude towards me. After all, his blood chi is already over 1.0, and his combat power index is over 100. He can even get into a major martial arts school easily. It's only natural that he hates my punk-ass brother. Suddenly I noticed myself in the mirror. Obviously, I've just finished so many sets of radio gymnastics. But now I feel energized. Not only that, even the memories of the battle in the dream world were clear to me. Then I went to the dinner table as if nothing had happened. But today, I had an unusually good appetite. I've eaten all the family's food for the day in one sitting. When I was embarrassed and wanted to take back my bowl, my father excitedly asked my mother to cook another meal. Because being able to eat often means being able to absorb. And he decided to buy me some more blood energy pills tomorrow. But my sister made up for it. I'm already 18 years old. Don't get your hopes up. After hearing this, my father blamed my sister for not knowing better. Half a point on the college entrance exam can eliminate tens of thousands of people. At this time, I was a bit distracted. In order to verify my suspicions, I decided to go to the martial arts school to test my blood chi. When I walked into the martial arts center, the receptionist greeted me warmly. After realizing that I was only here to test my blood chi, I was mechanically asked to go inside. I'm used to this kind of awkward scene. Soon I arrived at the test room. The result of this test will affect my future destiny. So I nervously placed my hand on the crystal ball. As a wave of energy poured into my body, the crystal ball emitted a blinding light. My blood chi value reached 0.9. In just 1 hour. I've increased by 0.2. I thought that if my sister is a 1 in a million genius, what kind of monster am I now? Then I wanted to test my strength. After all, blood chi only represents physical quality. But with the lifetime experience of 2 powerful men, how much combat power can I test this time? How much combat power can I test this time? So I threw my full strength at the instrument. My combat power reached a staggering 112. According to the standard of force in this world, the blood and chi value of a level 1 martial artist is 15. Combat strength is 150. The blood and chi value of a level 2 martial artist is 15. Battle power is 1,500. That's right. My strength has exceeded the limit of blood and chi. And that's only for 1 day. If I sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, I'd have risen to the heavens. But the more I tried to sleep, the more energized I became. I didn't realize there was a cooling mechanism for sleeping. I had no choice but to get up and work out again. I didn't expect that when I was about to start the rising sun. The memory of the zombie in my dream reappeared. My body unconsciously made strange movements. This is the long-lost radio gymnastics. A miracle beckons. This set of gymnastics is countless times better than the ones taught in school. Every time I do a movement, I could feel the power surging into my body. I'm only halfway through the routine. I've already surpassed the results of my years of training. But just when I wanted to practice all night, I was swept away by a strong feeling of hunger. I immediately realized that I was undernourished. Due to the rapid growth of my blood chi value, I couldn't get enough energy from ordinary meals. But with my family's income, I can't afford the high cost of pills. It seems I have to rely on myself to earn money. The only way I can think of now is to get a scholarship. So I decided not to hide my strength. I didn't realize that the next day I would have the opportunity. In the practice class, the teacher was teaching fighting techniques with great enthusiasm. I learned from Fatty that teacher is a second-level martial artist. He has fought in the battlefield and fought against foreign beasts. The scars on his arms were a symbol of honor. The students were filled with admiration for the teacher. But in my opinion, having mastered the best fighting techniques, my teacher's fighting skills were too shallow. Soon, a set of fighting skills was completed. The teacher called out the class's most handsome man to demonstrate. But the students all knew that the teacher was being biased. In order to let Lu Yifei learn more, he planned to select students to be his companions. But the students underneath were all afraid and didn't dare to raise their heads. After all, Lu Yifei's blood chi has already exceeded 1.2. Anyone who went up to practice with her could only be the second best. The teacher was disappointed at the lack of blood chi. I know you always say I'm biased in private. But now you don't even have the courage to stand up. No sooner had she spoken than she locked eyes with me. The glare in my eyes startled the teacher. I've been to war before and I know. That's the kind of look you get when you've been in a fight. So he called for me to come forward. The whole class didn't think much of me. After all, I was the class' biggest loser. But I confidently replied that I had worked out. One day, in the midst of my classmates' bewilderment, I walked up. Lu Yifei began to lecture me constantly, teaching me to protect all parts of my body. Then she attacked me with a punch. Seeing that Lu Yifei used all her strength in this attack, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Just when Lu Yifei was full of confidence, her punch was a complete miss. At this time, I just bent down. The blood chi in my fist continued to coalesce. This fist, which has been suppressed for 18 years. I smashed this rich man's face. He flew several hundred meters. This scene made the students and teachers not react. Then everyone broke out in a cold sweat. The school's most recognized loser. He punched the super genius with a single punch. But just as my classmates were looking at me with admiration, the teacher called me to the office. It turned out that the teacher suspected me of using prohibited substances. Not only did he want me to test my blood chi, he also wanted to match my combat power index. I was confident, because I was no longer the 0.7 I was yesterday. So I put my hand on it without saying a word. Along with a dazzling blue light lit up, the screen showed a shocking 1.5. When the teacher saw this, he stood up with a flick of his hand. An 18-year-old Class E martial artist is considered a genius in the city. But before the teacher could react, I threw another punch at the combat power meter next to me. Who knows, my fighting power was too fierce. The instrument was smashed by my punch and flew away. The embarrassing thing is, when the instrument flew out, I also broke the teacher's love plant. When the teacher came to his senses, he realized something. That instrument can even resist a martial artist's attack. In other words, I'm more powerful than a full-fledged martial artist. Then, teacher asked me when was the last time I took the test. I answered honestly that it was half a month ago, when he found out that I was born into a commoner's family. His eyes changed when he looked at me. Once he realized one thing from the battlefield. Ordinary martial artists could not defeat those monsters. In the face of that unreasonable power, the power of a warrior is as small as dust. Until one day, He was saved by a top martial artist. He realized the truth. There is only one group of monsters that can defeat monsters. They're beyond the realm of humans. And I was about to join that group. The teacher let out a long breath. He decided to transfer me to the top class. Only the teachers in the top class could teach me. But as soon as he finished speaking, I refused. I was practicing in my dreams. I don't need a teacher's guidance. When the teacher saw that I was so determined, asked me if I had any difficulties, and immediately, I made 2 requests. The first was that I wanted to apply for a scholarship. The second was that I wanted to be free to go to school. The teacher agreed. As a demon, you do have the right to do so. Then he took out a black card and handed it to me. It takes time to apply for a scholarship. Take this $100,000 and use it first. Then he told me not to neglect my training. But as soon as I left the office, the teacher slammed his desk in excitement. There was a monster among his students. He's less than 18 years old and has the strength of a level 2 martial artist. He'll be so scary when he takes the entrance exam. I have to report this news quickly. And after so many years, finally someone can go to that place. On the other hand, I didn't go to class when I got $100,000. I went to the mall to buy supplements. I remembered that yesterday I was just a mediocre student. The world is full of people like me. On the one hand, I longed for the incredible world of martial arts. But in the end, I could only live a life of futility. But now I've been given a chance to live a new life. I won't make the wrong choice this time. After returning home, I didn't stay. I immediately went into the dream again. This time I decided to investigate the truth of the dream. I went to the 1359 base in my memory. However, when I entered the dream again, I was surrounded by a large number of zombies. Luckily, I'm now a level 1 martial artist. One punch can kill a small zombie again. Finally, after half a day of running wildly, a huge base appeared in front of me. The wall alone is 20 meters thick. Then a central building caught my attention. There seems to be a figure sitting inside. Upon closer inspection, it was a sword immortal corpse. Who knows that just by staring at it for a second? The corpse opened its eyes violently. Instantly a strong pressure came to me. I was scared and fell to the ground. I was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. I realized that it wasn't a place I could get close to. Then I turned around to look for clues in other places. After searching for a while, I came to an ordinary house. Just as I was about to leave, when a device next to me suddenly lit up. Curious, I pressed the button. With a system sound, a holographic girl appeared in front of me. Welcome to Skyhung Technology. Am I the intelligent light brain AI? I'm responsible for controlling the base server management. Such a high-tech method aroused my interest. I immediately asked him to pull up the latest news. I, however, showed that the Skynet connection had failed. It's connecting to the offline database instead. With ICE command, a lot of relevant information popped up one by one. As I kept scrolling through it, I realized that this world is not only highly advanced in technology. Even in the field of martial arts, there are strong people in the 10th realm. You know that in reality, the highest level of strength is only 6. However, even with such a terrifying level of combat power, in front of the powerful beasts, they are still vulnerable. In just 1 year's time, this civilization disappeared from this world. I feel very sorry for them. I thought maybe I could learn from their experiences and prevent a tragedy in my world. Then I asked IE to call up the world history. But when I read the information on it, I instantly felt like I was surrounded by a great terror. I was completely frozen in place. No wonder the language in this world is the same as in reality. Even the classifications of martial artists are the same. Because this is the history of the real world. And what I just saw wasn't a story from another world at all. It's the future of the real world 10,000 years from now. I couldn't accept this truth for a moment. Suddenly I thought of another possibility. Sex Aichi. Find me the personal information of a human being. I can see 10,000 years into the future in my dreams. I was able to find my own biography. But what I found out left me speechless. It says I'll only live to be 28 years old. And I've never done anything in my life. Undeterred, I looked up my genius sister's information again. But Aichi said I didn't have enough access. I needed to provide a genetic blood sample to activate my access. While I was wondering how to provide a blood sample, Aichi bit my finger. The sudden scene. I forgot why holograms are physical. But just as I was sighing, I got my blood sample, but it was like a computer jam. Aichi's whole body kept showing malfunction alerts. In the next moment his eyes widened. Human genetic oxygen detected. Spark program activated. I didn't have time to think about what it was. I realized my basic information had changed again. Not only did my appearance become more mature, even my strength has become a level 4 martial artist. This is almost exactly what will happen to me in the future. And if I look at Heisei's resume more closely, I'll be graduating first in my class this year. 3 years later I'll join the military. I'll die at the age of 37. I'll be a 2-star hero, but I'll be a 2-star hero. Not even a ripple in the wheel of history. But I soon realized there was a flaw in the profile. Although his life trajectory before the age of 18 was exactly the same. But the information after the entrance exams is obviously flawed. If we put aside the dream realm cultivation, I might only be able to achieve this level. But at my current rate of cultivation, what's a mere 23rd place in the city? My future is going to be a global phenomenon. If mankind is going to die in the future, I will be the one to change history. I am the spark. I'm the spark that will start a prairie fire. I asked AIE to call up all the kung fu techniques in the past 10,000 years, only to find that 460,000 secret techniques popped up. So many that it's hard to know what to do. Soon after I sifted through them, I finally chose the best 3 training methods. They were all created by the 11th level's greatest masters. The first step is the stellar body refining technique. It can turn the human body into a miniature universe, constantly condensing every cell of the body, turning every cell into a superstar. If the efficiency of the previous gymnastics is 1, then the efficiency of stellar body alchemy is 1000. Then I tested the second step of natural breathing. I only breathed once. I felt like there were countless flames running through my body. Even my blood was boiling, and I was surprised to find it also boosted the practice of stellar body alchemy. The last step is the crystal observation technique. It involves the most mysterious spiritual part of martial arts. According to the concept, can strengthen one's will. Sure enough, when I opened my eyes again, I was in the spiritual world. In front of me was a huge soul, but I didn't know how to cultivate it. Who knew that just when I was at my wit's end, I woke up with a great sense of fatigue. I didn't realize that just a few minutes of training, I was more tired than exercising for hours in reality. At that moment, a foul odor entered my nose. It's the impurities that have been forced out of my body after training. It's true that the effects of a dream can affect the real world, but even so, I wasn't satisfied. I decided to get my scholarship back tomorrow, because what I've brought back is not only the technique. I also brought back a potion that would change the entire world. Then I found a remote pharmacy. Sincerely asked the staff to sublet the refining room to me. I processed the herbs step by step according to the future method. I didn't expect to make a finished product on the first try. Who knew that after one bite, I realized something was wrong. A powerful energy instantly integrated into my body. The meridians in my body felt like they were about to explode. But fortunately, my previous body refining technique had drained my blood chi, so that I didn't explode in the end. And I found that this medicine not only replenishes blood energy, it also has the ability to whiten and moisturize the skin. But then there was a sharp knock on the door outside. It was Huang Mao, the employee of the store that rented my room. Huang Mao was in a hurry and asked me to leave. The store manager would be back soon. In a panic, I didn't even have time to organize my things. I grabbed the medication and ran straight away. Sure enough, as soon as I left, the store manager came in, but his face was not looking good. It turns out that the He family used to be the largest company in the pharmaceutical industry. But with the rapid development of martial arts, old prescriptions were gradually eliminated. But the He family has been declining because of the old ways, and now they're facing a crisis of closure. He went to the next city to buy the prescription, but he met with no luck. He had no choice but to come back early. But as soon as he entered, the store manager noticed something strange. Not only were his clothes covered in powder, even the utensils in the mixing room were in disarray. When he was getting impatient, suddenly the equipment next to him caught his attention. This method of treating scales was unheard of. But he didn't care. He thought it was just another attempt to get rich overnight. Although he thought it would be another failure, he couldn't help but pick up the potion on the floor. But when he took a closer look, he was dumbfounded. This combination does not conform to the principles of medicine. Could it really be a miracle? So he took a lick with false hope. Instantly he felt like a new world had opened up. He rushed to catch up with Yellow Hair, who had been fired. He kept asking for my contact number. I didn't expect that, in the end, under the temptation of double wages, Huang Mao really handed over my cell phone. At this time, I had just returned home after practicing medicine. The first thing I did was to train like crazy. With the top quality tonics, my stellar body refining technique seemed to have turned on. Soon the first star was formed. At that moment, the store manager called. Although the store manager was full of sincerity, I asked for a week's notice. Right now, my first priority is to train. Soon a few days passed. I had forgotten how much stronger I was. So I decided to go to the martial arts school for another test. As the crystal ball lit up again, I had become a level 2 martial artist with 15 points of blood chi. Before graduation, a level 1 martial artist was already a genius. But now I'm 10 times more powerful than a genius. Although I was not expecting it, but it still made me very happy. Then I began to test my combat power. I just threw a punch casually. I was able to reach 3,000 points in my battle power index. That's more than twice the normal blood energy limit. However, this was not the limit of my combat power. I adjusted my breathing carefully. I used the Stellar Blast Fist. The next second, the meter showed 150,000 points. But I didn't dare to make a scene. Because I understand the principle of a big tree attracts the wind. You know, even the greatest geniuses of today's families can only generate twice as much power. So I said hello to the young lady. I decided to leave the school immediately. But then two people passed me by. One of them was the director's daughter, and I Shuang. She was accompanied by her junior apprentice. Seeing the receptionist looking at me with a crazy look on her face, he immediately showed disdain for me. In this world, martial arts is everything. Children from ordinary families like that, even if they test more, it's still futile. Rao and I Shuang glanced at his junior apprentice brother in displeasure, understanding that although what he said was impolite, but it's the truth. He grew up eating all kinds of supplements. He was taught martial arts by many elders in his family. He can be proud of himself in the face of ordinary people. Thinking of this, and I Shuang taught his junior brother, why don't you try your best to cultivate yourself? Besides, there are many geniuses in ordinary families. Although he obeyed verbally, but in his heart, he is still unconvinced. He wanted to check my test results, and I Shuang had no choice but to agree, and warned him not to be too complacent after reading it. Then he took the tablet from the receptionist. It didn't matter if he didn't look at it. Once he looked at it, he was stunned and speechless. After reading it, he fell on his butt, and I Shuang asked if there was something wrong with the device. But the receptionist told her that the instrument had just been checked. In other words, this score is definitely fine. But this kind of result shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be in this world. And I Shuang immediately asked all the staff to put down their work, to gather information about this student at all costs. At that time, I had just arrived home and knew nothing. After realizing my strength, I decided to explore the dream world further. In the end, just before I took 2 steps, I was blocked by a class 4 zombie. The smell alone was oppressive. But the next moment, I rushed out without hesitation. But just as I got close, I saw a huge hand approaching. I couldn't dodge in time, so I quickly blocked it with my hand. Instantly, a strong pain shot through my nerves. I immediately realized that I couldn't take it. Soon after, an even more terrifying attack came again. But this time I was no longer careless. I dodged his attack with a dart. Then I slammed my foot into the zombie's head. Before the zombie could stand up again, I already jumped up high. I gathered stellar power in my feet. With just one blow, the zombie fell to the ground. As the zombie's body slowly dissipated, a black gas merged into my body. The zombie's memories were awakened again. It turns out that he was a level 5 martial artist before he died. He died on the front line because of the beasts protecting the city. If I hadn't lost my arms and intelligence, I wouldn't be a match for him now. Thinking of this, I bowed deeply to the zombies. The flame is passed on to the next generation. The spirit will never die. When I woke up, I didn't hesitate anymore. I decided to go to the Martial Arts Association to complete the martial arts examination. Only by passing the test will I be officially recognized. Just before the entrance of the association, a young man in red rushed out crying. From the words of the 2 people next to him, it turned out that the equipment outside was not precise enough. That's why his score in the association was low. If you want to pass the test, you have to have a higher score. I was looking forward to it. This will make my strength more accurate. Then I went to the front desk to register. The receptionist told me to go to the test room and prepare myself. I thought the test would be the same as the martial arts school. I didn't expect to be dumbfounded once I entered the test room. The number of people taking the test was like a New Year's train station. The whole testing room was packed with people. I had no choice. I began to observe the people next to me. I realized that most of the people in line were around 25 years old. A young girl stood out. But before I knew it, there was another figure at the entrance. He was almost 3 meters tall. He didn't care about the people in the queue. Directly stride towards the examination area. Just one finger can make people move directly across the room. Soon this behavior caused other people's dissatisfaction. Called the big man unqualified, and asked the staff to come out to maintain order. Who knows that the staff took a look. After a glance at the information, he said he had the right to do so, because the big guy was taking the 3rd level martial arts test. The moment he said that, there was a clamor from the crowd. The older sister just now dropped her index finger. The boyfriend in the back even vomited blood silently. In a world where the highest level of martial arts is only 6, there are only a dozen or so level 3 martial artists in the entire White River City. And the strongest ones often enjoy higher treatment. Soon the big man walked straight to the tester. The first step is to test the blood chi value. As the crystal ball lights up, the instrument shows the number 107. The crowd's clamor resumed. This is the first time they've seen a broken blood chi. Then the staff announced the start of the combat power test. A hurricane blew over the scene. The crowd was barely able to stand. When the wind field stabilized, the number 10,831 appeared on the screen. The staff announced on the spot that the big man had succeeded in the test. He was congratulated for becoming a level 3 martial artist in White River City. But big guy suddenly turned his head and looked around. He sensed that there were two young men standing against the wind on the set. But he didn't know that the girl was very anxious. The wind from his fists alone made it hard for him to stand. But what I said was even more unbelievable. I felt the power of the big man. So this is the level of a third-level martial artist. At this time, before the others have recovered their morale, I proposed to take the test myself. The staff appreciated my calmness. They immediately agreed to my proposal. Soon the crystal ball's light came on again. The screen showed that the blood chi index was 15. What the hell, this blood vessel is full of tonic pills, right? Then, in front of everyone's astonished eyes, I slowly walked towards the combat strength testing equipment. The staff immediately came forward and opened the door for me. I could take the test as many times as I wanted. I thanked them on the spot. But I didn't need to. Under the puzzled gaze of the staff, I unleashed my two heavenly techniques at the same time. The next moment I used my self-created stellar explosion. At that moment, the scene seemed to be in the middle of the universe. At that moment, everyone in the arena stared blankly at the screen. They were all stunned and speechless by the horrific scene. With a click, the protective wall behind the instrument shattered. Then a stronger hurricane blew through the scene. The screen showed a battle power index of 15,709. The staff members who reacted were in a state of confusion. He announced that I had successfully passed the first-level dancer test. But this result has exceeded his assessment authority. He needed to report the results to his superiors immediately. He said that even if he had to gamble his career, he would definitely give me a satisfactory explanation. Watching the staff running away, I remembered that I hadn't received my first-grade certificate yet. Suddenly, a tall figure silently came behind me. I realized who he was. It was the big guy who passed the level 3 test. The big guy suddenly extended his right hand to me. After the introduction, he wanted to make friends with me. I immediately put out my hand, understanding the principle of many friends, many ways. But I didn't know that the big guy was crazy in his heart. He was happy that, with the level I'm showing now, I'm sure to be a big shot in the future. The people at the scene also reacted. They rushed to me and wanted to shake my hand and take a picture. Faced with such a crazy crowd, I ran straight away. Soon I ran out of the Dancers Association. However, not far from the entrance of the association, my sister Lu Qinghe and her classmates were waiting for someone. But they found me striding out of the association. At that moment, I also noticed my sister not far away. I wanted to greet her. My sister criticized me for being in the association. You're usually at home at this time. At this time of the day, aren't you sleeping at home? I was a bit embarrassed. After all, I do practice in the dream world every day. But I've never told anyone about this secret. He thinks I'm still the same 0.7 blood chi chick. At this moment, my sister's classmate Fan came forward. Explained that they were waiting for her here. He said I was very handsome. It's not like what Qinghe said. My sister was furious. She yelled at her classmates for forgetting their love. She was their mother at school. When I saw that my sister and her classmates were getting along so well, I rubbed my sister's hair. I left first. At that moment, their older sister also came out. They realized that she was not in a good mood. This immediately made them nervous. She explained that it wasn't what they thought. But there was an accident in the exam. The test was stopped. The reason was because there was a demon in the test. At only 18 years old, he has a blood chi value of 157. His battle strength was even higher than a level 3 martial artist. This terrifying value made everyone gasp. Fan quickly asked for his name. I do know his name. His name is Lu Sheng. As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes instantly turned towards Lu Qinghe.